Well. What do we have here? Maybe the least surprising news, I guess, to anyone that's really been kind of paying attention. We talked about this potentially being something that might happen. Kyle Shanahan names Sam Darnold QB2 of the San Francisco 49ers. Why is this even a big deal? Why is naming QB2 even breaking news or something for me to go live over? Because it means that Trey Lance, the former number 3 overall pick, is the third string quarterback for your San Francisco 49ers. And we're going to dive into all that and more. But first, of course, y'all need to make sure y'all.
Like and subscribe this video.
Yeah. And all of this is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go to underdogfantasy.com or just download the app, Underdog Fantasy. And when you sign up, use promo code Crocky and they'll double your deposit up to $100. All right. I got a feeling we're going to use a lot of Underdog Fantasy, but not for Trey Lance, not for Sam Darnold, probably for Brock Purdy. All right. Appreciate everybody that's in here, locked in, tuned in. We're going to try to cover all our bases. I didn't write any notes down, so I'm going off the top with this. I'm freestyling. I'm like Jay-Z in the booth with this, or Lil Wayne in the booth with this. No notes. All right. First, if anybody's been paying attention, I talked about it on here, and everybody kept telling me, like, no way, Sam Darnold. There's no way. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, I'm watching Sam Darnold. I'm seeing what he's doing, and I feel like I'm seeing what Kyle Shanahan is going to like. We talked about it on Locked On 49ers. All right. We come at you 5 days a week, myself, Brian Peacock. And on there, we were, I think we just asked it. If you listen to the episode that dropped this morning, and we recorded it yesterday, so if you watched the YouTube version, you could have seen it. But Peacock asked the question, who is the better quarterback too? And I'm like, Sam Darnold. He's the better QB2 for the 49ers. And I think my reasoning for why I felt like Sam would be a better QB2 option over Trey Lance had to do with knowing more of what you're getting. And I'm not even talking about with Sam Darnold knowing more of what he's been in the past. I made the comparison right here on this show about comparing him to a woman, right? And how you look at a female's past and you look at all the negative things that you don't like and all this. Oh, she used to do this, she did this. It's like, man, you're gonna hold her whole past against her, right? Like, how does she treat you? And if you ask Kyle Shanahan right now, how has Sam Darnold treated him? He probably say, you know what, Sam Darnold has treated me very well. When I watch practices, and this is going back, some of y'all remember when my bro was on here, all right, after we come in here and we talk about after practice, you just see this certain level of like fluidity with just the way that Sam Darnold moves and throws the ball and the areas and levels that he was throwing the ball to. It almost felt like he was a combination of both the quarterbacks, right? Like he was a combination of Brock Purdy, because you kind of see this just like, steadiness, hitting the check downs, making the right throws, all those things, right? You like consistently see those things. But then you also saw some of the splashier throws, maybe not to the same extent as Trey Lance, but you saw like just big arm ability, far hash sideline throws on the money with timing and rhythm. We saw that in the game as well. And, he's had a certain level of efficiency in the game. I know we saw 2 interceptions, but both balls that went off of Ronnie Bell's hands, he has played well without giving you the ugly. All right. So, why was he named QB2? I think Kyle Shanahan just trusts more of what he's getting from Sam Darnold. And your QB2 typically isn't someone with a lot of upside unless you like eventually want to play the guy. I've said it. I don't think the 49ers care to play Trey Lance. Now, we're going to get to Trey Lance in a second, but right now we're going to keep it on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a former number 3 overall pick by the New York Jets. He went to a situation that wasn't great for him. Head coach changing. He's seeing ghosts. He got Adam Gase there. They got Adam Gase up out of there. They fired him, brought in the new staff, let go of one of his best weapons with Robbie Anderson. And I think we know, like, Robbie Anderson, not a great receiver, but that was his best option. All right. Wasn't surrounded by a ton of talent. Ultimately, he flamed out with the Jets. So what does he do? Gets traded over to the Carolina Panthers. He goes there. Not a great situation either. The head coach kind of on his way out. Eventually gets beat out by Baker Mayfield, right? And that competition felt kind of like this quarterback competition, where it was almost kind of rigged to make us feel like Trey Lance had a chance. But if you kind of listen to certain people and what they're saying, like, Lance never had a chance. He never had a chance. We're gonna get to Trey Lance in a minute, and I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what I'm saying and what I feel like some of the issues are and why maybe people are a little outraged by it. But ultimately, with Sam Darnold, he's come to the 49ers and he's been very steady. And the question was asked, and somebody put it on Twitter. I wish I kind of had the tweet, but they asked me like, it's almost like if you are, if Brock Purdy goes down for 2 games, you probably want Sam Darnold in there. Brock Purdy goes down for 10 games, 15 games, you probably want Trey Lance in there because that's going to give Trey Lance that time to kind of build up that equity and probably start to grow into seeing a more consistent quarterback. But right now, Sam Darnold, he feels like a little bit more of the safer guy at the quarterback position. Listen, I've been to the practices. I watched them, and I think Trey Lance did very well. That's not quite what's going on. That's not the issue. That's not the biggest issue here. All right. So again, I keep talking about Trey Lance because a lot of this has something to do with him, but it really has more so to do with what Sam Darnold isn't doing. And I think you're not getting the lows that you get from Lance, but you also get some highs that you might not be able to get from Brock Purdy. So he's kind of like your perfect, steady backup. And I talked to some people on like the spaces on social media, and they were asking about Brandon Allen, right? And they're like, Brandon Allen, why is he even getting reps? Why is he on this team, etc. And I'm like, look, y'all, look around the league. What do backup quarterbacks look like? They're not these high ceiling type of guys. They're not these splashy guys. Like, they are just guys that, can I get the information to the starting quarterback? Can I help him be ready for the game? And then if somebody goes down, can I come in and keep things afloat? Typically, that's what a backup quarterback is. It's typically not someone that was a third overall pick and started and he broke his ankle, but he needs reps and he needs reps and he needs reps to continue to kind of get better. And, okay, but we want that guy behind. Like, that's typically not what your backup quarterback is. So it really is unfortunate for Trey Lance, but from Sam Darnold's perspective, based off of what I've seen from practices and then what we saw in the games, there's a certain level of steadiness that he's had. And of course, Kyle Shanahan, the control freak, he's going to want that because there's less of the, what's it going to look like from throw to throw? What's it going to look like from play to play? Are there going to be these erratic moments? All right. I think he feels like with Sam Darnold, he doesn't get that. He just gets steady play with kind of high ability. Because if we're being honest, and I've said this, listen, none of this stuff I'm saying because he's named QB2. All right. None of this stuff I'm about to say is because he's been named QB2. But I've said it. I feel like he's done things better than Brock Purdy in practices and in the games. Like, I've seen some things in the games, like throws he's able to make. And I'm not talking about in the games with the Panthers or the Jets. I'm talking about with the 49ers. When you kind of filter through the BS, areas of the field where he just does things kind of effortless, it's better than Brock Purdy. Like the drive throws, his ability to throw down the field, hit guys in stride, the far half sideline throws. Like, and I'm not trying to hype up this guy. Like, trust me, I'm not. I'm just telling you what I see. And I was like, damn, these things are like, there's some of these things that's better than Brock Purdy. And then when you add the mobility, which obviously Brock Purdy, he can move around, he can wiggle. Sam is just as athletic, if not even a little bit more. So the fact that Kyle really liked him and named him QB2, I don't think that should come to a surprise to anyone here because I've been saying it over the last few days for sure. And anybody that's listening to Locked On 49ers, well, myself, Brian Peacock, 5 days a week, because we just talked about it really over the last couple of days. Like, this should not be a surprise. It should not be a surprise. When I saw the news, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Now, what does this mean for Trey Lance? Listen, ultimately for Trey Lance, he was drafted to the wrong team. And a team that you think is like super loaded, this should be the best case scenario for him. It should be the best situation, man. You come in, you don't have to do a whole lot. All these teams, quarterbacks will be lucky to be drafted to the 49ers. Unfortunately for Trey Lance, a guy that just needs time, he just needs to play. This team and Kyle Shanahan don't want to wait for what he needs. He had a window last year and he snapped his ankle. That is not his fault. That is not his fault. And for me, it's always been really weird because you didn't even give him a real chance to compete with Brock Purdy, right? And like we're talking a lot about the QB2. I saw somebody on Twitter like, well, if Trey Lance had competed against Brock Purdy, like Brock Purdy would have won that competition. Well, yeah, with Brock Purdy getting as many more reps as he did from than Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, he got way more reps with the ones, way more times he's able to throw the ball. There's way more opportunities to make plays. And he's throwing to Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and I mean Trey Lance and Sam are throwing to goddamn Daz Newsome, who just got cut. All right, so it wasn't an easy even playing field. And I feel like if you want to do right by your third overall pick, and you also have to do right by your team too. I understand that, but he didn't really have a chance, bro. He didn't really have a chance. And this is something like I have never in my life seen this. It was a very unique situation when he got drafted. You get drafted to a team that has these, Super Bowl aspirations. You get drafted to a team that has Jimmy Garoppolo on there. Everybody looks to Jimmy as the leader, and you bring this young guy in, number 3 overall pick, and it's like, we've seen other guys come in and somebody be like solid ahead of them. Maybe a, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers type situation, and they end up getting Drew Brees up out of there. Shoulder injury probably helped. We've seen Eli Manning, right? Like Eli Manning, and then there was Kurt Warner ahead of him. But, they were getting Kurt Warner up out of there, right? And it was just like, you're going to start, just not just yet, but eventually, like, you will start this year. Like, we knew that. And then there's like Carson Palmer with John Kitna, right? These are off the dome. Listen, man, I really watch football, man. I really watch this shit. All right. So Carson Wentz, number 1 overall pick. I don't even think he played a snap his rookie year. John Kitna held it down. He kind of played, but eventually they knew like he's out of here. Jimmy muddied the waters a little bit because it was a guy who you had success with. And really, if you listen to Kyle and some other people, not the only reason they traded up to get a quarterback, but I think a big reason was they couldn't count on him. Couldn't count on him to be healthy. They couldn't count on him to be there week in, week out. And it's like, all right, eventually we got to make a move. I think they made a desperate move. And I know that my guy, Brian Peacock, he didn't necessarily care for the kind of the process that went into trading up to number 3 overall, not knowing exactly which quarterback that you want to draft. It was very weird. Then you take the quarterback with the least experience. Now, I am all for drafting Trey Lance. I probably would have taken Lance too. All right, I would have taken Lance as well. Now, listen, I always thought that Justin Fields was the most talented quarterback in that class. And anything that I say, it's all documented. All right, so I felt like Fields was the most talented quarterback in that class, but I would have taken Trey Lance based on, obviously like not just like this upside, but the mind, like who he is, the work ethic, all those things. Unfortunately for the 49ers, he didn't get to play enough. He didn't get a chance to play enough to start to really put that into use. Like the mind, okay, like let me continue to work through things, let me get better. And he just didn't necessarily have the reps. So I understand why they went a different direction. I saw the ability. I thought he played very well in camp, but he just had like some lows, but he did have some highs as well. I thought he made more consistent throws than the other guys in that 15 to 25 yard range. He was driving those throws, like hitting them, sideline throws. He's hitting them. And you see this high level ability, but then he gets in the games. And you see like this kind of erraticness, right? Like ability off the charts for sure. Some of the throws he's even able to make is like, man, that was good. He gets on the move and he throws across the body. Like, that's good. Like, okay, cool. Then you watch him, tight window throws and he leads the game-winning drive against the Broncos. Like, all those things are good. But for Kyle, there's still too many ups and downs. And I was watching it and I'm like, all he needs to do is play. Like, all he needs to do is play. Just get him some reps. Continue to get him reps. Like, all he needs to do is play. And unfortunately for Trey Lance, he was drafted to a team that is not going to wait for him. So there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say, oh, I knew he was a bust. I knew he was trash. I knew Trey Lance was this and that, and he's terrible, and he's horrible, and this is the worst 3rd overall pick trade up ever in the history. And it might be, but not for the reasons why people think. This just was not a great situation for him specifically. He needed to go to the Jaguars, who had Trevor Lawrence throw 10 touchdowns and 16 interceptions as a rookie. And nobody batted an eye. Nobody cared. Can't do that on the 49ers. He needed to go to the Chicago Bears. He needed to go to a team that did not have the sense of urgency as the 49ers do to get over that hump and win. And unfortunately, he went to a team that felt like it was the best spot for any guy, but it was the worst spot for him. All right, we're going to get into some of these super chats here. Appreciate everybody that's in here. Make sure y'all.
Like and subscribe.
All right, all right, all right. We got Gammon here. He says Sam equals high body count. uh, Sam does have a high body count. And by body count, we talking about turnovers. All right, we got Tech TDs and Taps. He says, did Trey ask for a trade or team inquire overnight? I felt like Trey should have asked for a trade the moment they were like, yeah, you're gonna get a chance to compete against Brock, and he couldn't compete. Like, trade me. I don't care if there's not a market for me. I don't care if you're only gonna get a 6th round pick for me. I don't care if that 6th round pick is a future 6th round pick. Trade me somewhere where I have an opportunity to truly compete. Not only did he not have a chance to compete for the starting job, he had to compete for the QB2 job. It almost felt like, and I saw RG3 tweet this out, the moment they signed RG3, excuse me, RG3. The moment they signed, RG3 said, the moment they signed Sam Darnold, like QB2 was his job. And they kind of did their due diligence. Trey practiced well. I'm telling y'all, Trey practiced well. Like, it looked good. That looked like the best version of Trey Lance to me. Now he got in the game and there was the ups and downs. I think maybe that's what scared Kyle Shanahan a little bit. But the Trey that I saw in practice, like, he looked good. Now I know everybody wanted to make uh, fun of an occasional, oh, he missed his out route, guy wide open. He can't hit the check. Not like, man, that's one time of practice. Like, outside of that, like, he was money underneath. He was money in the lower levels. Like, he did some really good things. So he didn't really have a chance. But as far as trading them, yeah, they need to find somebody. Croc, how the F they gonna feel anything you saying about Darnold from practice when we seen him in games, bro? We ain't got to even project this on tape. If Sam had similar experience, I'd understand. Hey, Sean, great comment there, and I appreciate the contribution. But again, we keep judging him off of the Panthers and the Jets. The 49ers that they're viewing with Sam Darnold, they do not give a damn about anything Sam did with the Jets and the Panthers. Like, they don't care. Kyle does not care. Kyle is not factoring any of that into his decision. And I know the fans, like what I'm saying, all I was talking about this whole time when I was kind of talking up to Sam Darnold a little bit, it was the Sam Darnold I saw in practice and I've seen in the preseason games, like with the 49ers. I can't fact whatever he did previously, hey, whatever. But the one I saw in practice and the ones I saw in the preseason games, just what it looked like, I felt like Kyle would lean towards that. Now, I know we want to talk about the Panthers and we want to talk about the Jets and seeing ghosts and all that. I can't factor that in. All I could do is go off of what he looked like with the 49ers in practice. That's all I could do. And I would say, again, I thought Trey Lance looked really good in practice. But when they got in the games and just see the way that, like, he was just throwing the ball, the timing, the rhythm, those type of things, and just what it looked like, it just felt to me like Kyle's going to lean more towards that. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And I said that on here. So that's not just a take for today. Like, we've been saying that. But I get you. You want to hold, and a lot of people, they want to hold the past against them. Go ahead. Kyle's not. Kyle isn't. We got Damon here. He says, I'm going to just be over here chilling. Shout out to my guy, Damon. All right. Shout out to Damon. All right. We got Timmy here. He says, you all need to stop with the racist comments. Let's keep it football. I ain't even paying attention to the comments right now. I'm just keeping it on the super chats here. So I don't know what comments are being said. But yeah, let's keep it football. And thank you for the contribution. And thank you, Brian, for the contribution. I don't know if you had a question here, but thank you for the $3 though. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hell yeah. Let's go. All right. Race does play a part in football. This is Caplo and ENT. He says race does play a part in football. Not in this case. Kyle is just clearly terrible at evaluating quarterbacks. I think that, again, this is really tough because I truly think that this has less to do with the development of Trey Lance and kind of it's what he needs. Lance just needs to play. This is just not the team for him, like with what he needs. There's not a throw I've seen him attempt like that he can't make, right? Like there's no throw on the football field he can't make. He can utilize his legs. He can do all those things. We've seen him now start the playoff script, and it's looking good, right? We've seen some of the arm angle stuff. We've seen him do that. We've seen him throw the ball down the field, hitting Danny Gray in stride, hitting Jawan Jennings downfield in stride, hitting Debo in the game. Like we've seen it. We've seen him make the throws. He just needs that level of consistency. I think the way that Trey is going to get more consistent is by, I don't know, playing. But he's just not going to get that opportunity here. I hope people understand that part. So I don't even know if it's not a terrible job of Kyle evaluating quarterbacks. I think it's a terrible job of Kyle evaluating what Trey needed versus where this team was. Like that part of the evaluation was terrible. It was. It's like you go from, hey, we're trying to, potentially trade for Matthew Stafford, and then we're looking at Deshaun Watson, but then, he kind of weird little booty pirate stuff he was doing. And then it's like, oh, let's get the least experienced quarterback, but we're trying to win it all. Like we want to win it all, but with the least experienced guy. Like that's tough. Now, if he doesn't break his ankle last year, does he snap it in half? Maybe he gets those reps, and we're not even having this conversation. But that's just tough. That's just tough. All right, here we got Angelic Ambition. Do you think they want Sam Darnold over Trey Lance because of the possibility of trade return they can get for Trey Lance? Might get a day 2 pick for Trey Lance. Lucky to get a 6'4" Sam Darnold. No, that's a good observation. But I will say this. You know what can really help Trey Lance and them get some value for him? Play him this whole third game. Play Trey Lance this whole third game. You know who your starting quarterback is. You know who your backup is now. But show everybody that Trey isn't the backup because it's not that we think he just can't play. He just needs time. So if you can kind of get him out there and showcase him and he do some special things in the game, that would help. Now, you got to hope he doesn't fall on his face. And I think he has shown, even after he kind of falls on his face to start games, he kind of picks it back up and he's doing very well. But if you want to get good value for Lance, play him that whole third game. You know now Brandon Allen is your third string quarterback. Like that little guy is your third string quarterback. So, well, I think they're fine with having him their third string quarterback. But I also saw the tweet that said that the 49ers are exploring options for Trey Lance. So you want to explore options for him? Play him this entire third game. Play him the entire third game. And if he lights it up and he does well, there's your value. There's your draft value. Now, where's he going to go? That's a tough thing, right? Like, this is a tough situation. And that's why I hate it for him. I hate it for him. Because he truly doesn't have, they should have traded him in the offseason. Even if it was for nothing. But just go give him a chance somewhere else. And they're like, nah. And he actually did well. This is what I think. I think Trey Lance came in and did better than they were expecting, but they signed Sam Darnold, and they knew all along we're going to name Sam Darnold QB2. And Trey, I think, made bigger strides than what they were expecting. Obviously, there's still youthfulness that pops up on the film, but I think he was a lot better, especially in practice, than they were expecting. And it's like, damn, well, we're going to name Sam Darnold our backup quarterback. Trey's looking good, but is Trey a good backup quarterback? I think that threw everything off. They should have traded him before the draft. Trade him then. It's unfortunate. Here we go. We got Timothy here. He says, I have a feeling that a trade is a blessing for Trey Lance. 100%. 100%. Again, but he has to go somewhere he can play. Somewhere he can be QB2. Somebody goes down, okay. Or he could be QB2, and that quarterback one starts to kind of falter, and then he has an opportunity. He comes in and he finishes strong. That would be the best case scenario for him. Best case scenario. Go to the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell looked good in the preseason game. What's it going to look like in the regular season game? Did you invest so much in Sam Howell that you feel like, man, if we start off 2-5, do we got to stick with Sam Howell? Probably not. He was like a 5th round pick. So, okay, hey, Trey Lance, it's your turn. Let's go. We got Ben in here. He says Trey's not at practice. Maybe a trade is going down. Hmm. That's Trey's not at practice, huh? I am looking this up right now. I haven't seen anything yet, but the timelines are going crazy right now. The timeline is going crazy right now. So I haven't seen anything yet, but that's interesting right there. All right, here we go. We got William. He says Lynch should call Washington. That's what I say. First of all, you ain't getting right now he's labeled a third string quarterback. You're not getting chased for him. You're not. Best chance of doing that was before the draft. Maybe that would have been an option. We got Brian here. He says, do you think this puts Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch on the hot seat for the failed trade? No, it doesn't. Because as long as Brock Purdy's good. So long as Brock Purdy good, then won't be an issue. Brock Purdy not good, then they could potentially be on a hot seat. But then again, of course, Sam Darnold's going to come in and save the day. We got Mr. Blue Magic here. Good to see you again. You was just with us this morning. He said this is going to affect future free agents. I don't think so. I think everybody understands what the situation is. Matter of fact, for future free agents, guys that they say, hey man, you come here, you might have an opportunity to like be RB2. It's like, hell yeah, I'll take that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It might help. It might help because they stuck to their guns and really gave Sam Darnold a legit chance. Lance is a project. He got screwed by COVID in college and an injury on a team that was not rebuilding. 100%. 100%. Hey, Gio. Yeah. Caplo ENT again. He says, I understand all what you say, but Jimmy Garoppolo after 7 games, Lance 3 number 1 picks. Now Purdy after 8 games. When he was his third QB, you telling me Cal can evaluate? So Peacock and I talked about this, Locked on 49ers. But there was this report by a guy who coached with Kyle Shanahan, and he said that Kyle is very emotional and he thinks more so for today. Those are his words. A guy that coached with Kyle says he's very emotional and he thinks for right now. And something like that can definitely hinder the development of a guy like Trey Lance. Because I think Kyle moved on from him very quickly. I think he moved on from him very quickly. All right, here we go. We got Damon back again. He says, send Trey, Kinlaw, and the pick to the Jets for a tackle. Why would you send him to the Jets when they got Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson? They got their guy that's developing behind Aaron Rodgers. Matter of fact, you want to talk about a great situation? Zach Wilson is in a great situation. It's like, all right, and see, you got the 49ers. Man, what they doing? What are they doing? But the Jets did a really good thing. Clearly Zach Wilson's not ready to play. Not ready to play. All right, okay. Not good. But all right, we're going to bring in the Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, trade the house for him. Cool. Okay, we get A-Rod. He's in here. Now, Zach, no pressure. Just develop behind him. And hopefully Aaron Rodgers plays long enough to where you can continue to kind of develop behind Aaron Rodgers. And then when it's time, you might be able to get him on the cheap. And then you get to play and see, like, okay, he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years or whatever. Like, now we get a year out of him. What does it look like? Is he better? Packers are kind of doing that with Jordan Love right now, where they kind of give him this contract where it's like, all right, we're going to pay you a little bit. Okay, we're going to see. Like, did it work what you said behind Aaron Rodgers? That's a great way to do it. We got Bass Spokane. Bass Spokane. So are you from Spokane? Because I used to play against, I played against Spokane Shock a couple times. How many interceptions I get against Spokane Shock? That's in the Arena Football League. I done picked them off a few times. Hypothetical, Trey and Bosa for one round pick, for a round 1 pick next year. Here comes Caleb. I like the hypothetical because I really do like Caleb Williams. I think he's special. All right. But I would say that there's no chance they trade Nick Bosa. They would have, first of all, they would have to trade Nick Bosa right now. You'd have to trade him to a team that you would get a high pick for, right? Like, okay, who do you think is gonna suck this year? Who's just gonna be trash? And then whoever that team is, like that's who you would have to trade Nick Bosa to. First of all, they're not trading Nick Bosa. They're just not. Rich Madrid this morning talked about how the NFL draft is a crapshoot, especially for quarterbacks, and people want to pretend like quarterbacks are hitting at a high rate, but they're just not. And when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks, there's really no true science to it. Most teams just kind of whiff most of the time on the quarterbacks. I would say the pushback on Trey Lance is I don't think we've ever seen a quarterback get so few opportunities. Like he ain't really for guys that typically get drafted high. Like you get a chance to play, and it's like you had a chance and you broke your ankle, and now you'll just never get a chance again. Like that's wild. That's wild. That's really wild. Here we go. We got a riddle here. He says 55 games, game starts, 55 INTs. Who am I? I don't know. Sam I am. Sam I am. And last one here. Trey's even at practice today per Grant Gong. I wonder why. I wonder why. What do y'all think? So hey man, we came on here and rapped for 30 minutes. I wasn't really expecting to be here right now at this time. I'm pretty sure Brian Peacock and I would touch more on this on Locked On 49ers later. Look, we got 500 people in here. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Let me sure y'all hit the subscribe button. Show your boys some love, man. Hey, the YouTube channel is growing. It's football season. I hate the off season is my worst time because it's like, gosh, I hate these like wild storylines that don't got nothing to do with anything. But right now, we get down to the nitty gritty. All right. We get down to the nitty gritty. We get to talk real football. And even though this is something real that happened. Like Sam Darnold, like he's your QB2. And if you're just joining, we talked about why. But don't worry. If you missed part of this show or the first half or whatever, you can click the link below and find the audio version. And it'll be uploaded about 10 minutes after I end this broadcast. So I appreciate everybody in here. Again, man, we got 500 people in here, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we finna get up out of here. Patriots, they should trade for Trey. I'm not sure that's going to happen, big dog. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Wishing the best for Trey and that we get something valuable in return. I'm wishing the best for him too, man. Unfortunately, the best just likely won't be with the San Francisco 49ers. That's going to do it for me. I'm out, and we'll be right back here, 8 a.m. tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, live. Probably talking some more about the QB2 position. Interesting. A lot of talk about QB2. I'm out. Peace.